All right, good morning. Welcome back to part 2 of your Chia Pet demo. So I'm just gonna kind of break down today how to take the piece that you've thrown on the wheel and turn it into your Chia Pet. For some reason, when I made this demo this year, I didn't record it. So I'm just gonna kind of show you how I did it. So again, you can do a human or an animal face. You need to have a hole in the top so that you can fill it with water. And then the majority of it needs to be kind of scored like this, so that the chia seeds can grow onto it and kind of grab onto something. So I'm just gonna kind of show you today how to take your kind of thrown figure and get it to that point, and then just some tricks for scoring it as well. Again, so the chia seeds have somewhere to grab onto. So I threw this, honestly, I think I threw it last week, but I did keep it wrapped, so it's still reasonably leather hard, but I am just kind of hydrating it a bit with some water. So think about what you want to do first is decide whatever, animal or human you're gonna make. So again, I'm just gonna do like half of it just because you don't necessarily need to watch me do the entire thing. So kind of map it out. I'm probably gonna do this end as the front just because there's more room, and then this whole it's kind of staggered, so this will be towards the back. So I'm just gonna take some clay to make some ears and then kind of map the face in and things like that. So again, I'm just gonna kind of recreate this Ruth cat one that I did earlier very quickly. So obviously, do a better job than I'm doing when you go to make your piece. But the fun thing about this project is that you're combining hand building as well as throwing. And so that's kind of the whole point of the project, is to give you some room to get creative with your hand building techniques, the things that you learned in the previous class, and then as well, just to give you another opportunity to practice throwing something on the wheel, okay? So I've got my 2 little ears that I'm gonna kind of attach on up here. So again, remember when you're attaching to always score, slip, and smooth. So again, I love the serrated knife for this. And again, if I'm trying to line it up just like my original one, I'm just gonna kind of map the ears kind of to the top and side. And this will kind of also disguise the hole, because you don't necessarily want people to see it. You want it to be kind of hidden. And not only do you want to score and put your slip on to attach the two, because that's going to hold you temporarily, you definitely want to get a coil to smooth onto, right? Because otherwise, maybe these ears are a little bit too big. It's not really going to stay, okay? So like a skinny little coil, just kind of all the way around. And then again, you're just kind of like pressing it on all the parts where you've kind of trying to attach the ear, and just kind of squeezing those 2 things together. And again, my ear, I'm kind of gonna fold it in to make it not as gigantic compared to this. Okay, and then just a little bit of water, and you're gonna smooth some of that coil down onto the piece and some of it up onto the ear or whatever it is that you're attaching. So this could be a hat, this could be you building up, a lot of you have seen the like Bob Ross style Chia Pet. So it could be you building up some type of hair. Let me see this, okay. But the whole point is that you're really getting the 2 things to be attached, especially if this piece has kind of set up a little bit. You wanna make sure that they're joined really, really well so that they look kind of like one solid piece once it's attached there. I feel like we're getting into more of like a mouse vibe than a cat vibe, but okay, so that's one ear. I'm just gonna kind of quickly do the other one just so you can kind of also see. So again, I'm scoring onto the piece, scoring onto here, getting my slip is actually heck of dry, but I added some water into it, so it is somewhat coming back to life. And then I'm just kind of pressing it on there. again, to kind of grab a hold. And this is not enough, right? It is just a temporary hold. This is fully like definitely a mouse. I'm not really even gonna keep this. I'm just kind of making it for the demo. So tis what it is. If I pull the ears in a little bit more, well, whatever. Okay, so kind of pressing it on there. And then of course, your trusty coil, right? And again, the coil doesn't have to be massive. It just needs to be enough to fill in that gap and help you kind of prevent these seams from coming through, okay? And if you can, roll one that covers the entire thing. That is awesome, because then you can kind of just do it in one motion like I'm doing, pressing it in and then smoothing again, some of the coil up and some of it down to grab on. So for those of you that took ceramics last year, this shouldn't seem that foreign, but for those of you where it's maybe been a year or two, this will be good practice for you, just getting back into the old score, slip, smooth kind of mentality, okay? And then on the back side as well, we're smoothing some of that clay down and some of that clay up. Down and up. And again, you don't want to see this coil at the end. This coil is not part of our design. It is just part of our construction. So that is why you really want to, again, take the time to smooth it. Because remember, the third S is smoothing. It's not coil, right? So you don't want to see the coil. You just want to see that it's a nice smooth. You know what it looks like is a chihuahua. So maybe that is what it's going to be. Okay, so we got the ears. Then just think about mapping out the face. I'm just gonna do something real quick because I mostly want to show you kind of how to score. I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and do the rest of it. Okay, so let's say I am gonna stick with the cat. So I'm just gonna kind of map in. And again, you can draw onto this with pencil if you want. I'm just kind of going for it with clay. How did I do this other one? Okay, nose, whiskers, mouth. Obviously, we don't want just a face that's drawn on, right? So you're gonna wanna be building this face up and not doing as crappy a job as I am clearly doing right now. So just kind of etching on just where my facial elements are going to be. And then all of these things are going to be built up with coil. So like for example, the eye, again, you're going to score, slip, and smooth the coil all the way on to kind of build it up 3D, which I will do real quick. A little slip. Because you don't want to have a flat face. Nobody's face is flat, including animals, right? So just far more interesting, like far more interesting already. You can't even see this, and this is already kind of popping out. And then good hack for doing eyeballs is you roll your clay into a sphere, and then you just cut it in half, and then you have both eyeballs ready to go. And then you just kind of push it to kind of hollow it out a little bit because you don't want to have like a solid piece of clay. And then you should have like a perfect little eyeball to kind of stick in the middle there, okay? And then again, obviously you don't want to see that your face is made up of coils. So you want to do, again, a decent amount of smoothing in there. Sometimes I like to use the back end of like a paintbrush or like a wooden stick to kind of help with some of these details. Okay. So again, so much more interesting than this, right? So you really want to be building up 3D. Same thing goes for like the nose and the mouth. So again, just start by kind of mapping them out. Think about those of you that did, you know, when you were doing your masks, how I wanted everything to be 3D. Again, think about that is what you kind of want to do on your bobblehead. No, bobblehead, your Chia pet. Wow, sorry. Most of you have already done a bobblehead if you took the class in 2021, then you're familiar with that. Sorry, I was just looking at the demo for next year of that one. Okay, so that's the gist of kind of how to build up the face from you've got your throne base, and then you're kind of hand building up the rest. And then think about where you want your chia seeds to grow. So anywhere where you want your chia seeds to grow, you're not gonna glaze it. Okay, so like if you look here, the front part is glazed, and then my chia seeds grew all on the back. You can kind of still see some remnants there from when they were there last. So let's say you wanted them to maybe grow on the outsides of the ears. This is a little trickier because the water can't get to it, but it is possible. You just spray it with a spray bottle as it's in that phase when you're growing the actual chia seeds. So I really like the serrated knife, or you can even use a plastic fork, which I don't have, because it creates multiple lines at once, right? And it also creates a really good kind of animal-like texture. So I'm gonna have everything grow chia seeds except for just the face. So I'm gonna do some serrated lines all through the bottom here, okay? And again, try to kind of echo like the fur or scales of the thing that you're making so that the marks look intentional and not just like super random. I may be even gonna have some kind of growing up here on the forehead, and then I'm gonna have the whole backside, right? So you can also go in with like a paper clip and just do kind of your own marks if you are kind of, you know, if you prefer that. They do go a little bit deeper than the knife. Sometimes your knife can get globbed up with a bunch of clay too. And then if this has gotten a little bit dry, which mine has, just kind of hydrate it. It'll make it easier to kind of carve into. So you just want to kind of rough up the surface. And then again, this is going to remain bisqueware. So you're not going to glaze any of the parts that you are scoring, because that is where your little chia plant is going to grow. And again, I'm doing this very, very quickly for the sake of your demo, but you will have, of course, you know, a full month to work on the project, including, you know, throwing it and designing it, and then we will glaze them after winter break. Okay, so you can decide then kind of what parts you want to glaze, and if you change your mind about any, you can always go back and kind of score. I'm also going to score the back of the ears because I think it would be cute to have these like all covered in the chia seeds. So again, you want to be scoring the majority of the chia pet. You're not really glazing. You don't have to glaze any of it. If you would rather the chia seeds grow on the entire thing, that's an option too, but I would suggest have at least a little portion of it, like even just the eyes, or even just if you have something where you're building the face out, even just that, just because it gives it good dimension and makes it more interesting as a sculpture when you're not growing things out of it. And you could also technically use it as a vase or a plant holder that looks nice when you weren't glazing the chia seeds. Wow, growing the chia seeds. So main things to remember with your chia pet, it needs to be hollow, needs to hold water, so you can have a bit of a thicker base just so that you're making sure that the water doesn't leak out. You want to build everything off of it 3D so that it looks like an animal or human head. I mean, again, we were going for a cat, but this is more like a chihuahua, but it's a chia pet nonetheless. And then you want to make sure to score really, really well with, again, either serrated knife, paper clip. You can use that bundle of toothpicks that I gave you. This guy is another really good scoring tool that you can use that will kind of rough up the surface so that your chia seeds can grab on there. And then again, think about what parts you're going to glaze, and then don't leave those. You don't need to do any texture onto those. Okay, so this is like your before and your after. Again, remembering to score, 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 all of that. So good luck. I can't wait to see all of them. And remember to always just build up 3D wherever you can and be creative as possible. All right, goodbye.